Hello and welcome to another tier list video. Today we'll be ranking the maps for the mutator Propagators. S means that it's really easy, so Propagators will be really easy on this map. D means it's really difficult. Let's begin with Scythe of Amon. Scythe of Amon is somewhere in the middle here because on this map, props will come from maybe like two directions. So they'll go to the natural or they will go to the main. Pretty much that's it. It's very rare for them to go down the side, from the right side of the natural. Although if they do go there, you can just defend at the 5 o'clock sliver. If there are no environmental mutators, that is. You clear it and then you just defend there. And you just have to defend two areas. And that makes it quite easy to handle. You can also just defend one area by staying on one base. And many commanders are able to do that. So if you defend on one base, it's actually quite easy as well. There are also not many buildings except against Protoss when you're fighting a sliver. So there's a low chance of props just suddenly appearing and ruining your day when you're on the offense. Rifts to Core Hall is a pretty easy map for props. As long as you don't let the 8-minute wave see your natural, all the props will pretty much go to the main and you have a high ground there to help you defend. If they see your natural, you can still just defend the center as long as there are no environmental mutators, that is. You can just defend the center and it doesn't matter where the props come from. They will come from different angles, but they will eventually just end up at the natural anyways. On this map, you're gonna attack the enemies most likely with air units, and those air units can hide from props if props get close, that is. The map itself is also pretty easy, so even if it gets pretty late, props are not too threatening. Void Launch is another easy map for props because they will pretty much all go to the center. You're probably going to build like one structure in the center near the conduits, and that way all the props will go that way. If you're using like a tower commander, you can just build structures as you normally would, and the props will go to you. Since the enemies will also come from those directions, the defenses you make are going to be used not only for prop defense, but also for shuttle defense and everything else. So overall, Void Launch, pretty simple map for props. Void Thrashing is okay, because Void Thrashing, in the beginning, if they attack your natural, it's a little bit of a problem because you have to go like through the main to reach it, and it might be a little bit out the way. The map is also pretty small, so the props might reach the natural sooner than you expect, and that can be a problem. However, in the mid game, once you clear out the second Thrasher area and all the buildings there, all the props will pretty much go to the center, and as long as your defenses are there, you will be fine. And if you attack the last area with air units, you can pretty much just fly over the walls and the props that are trying to chase you won't be able to do anything. It's basically like one choke, one entrance for props, maybe two. Lock and Load is another easy map for props. One is because you often finish the map before 5 props spawn at once. Even if 5 props spawn at once though, they will all go to your natural. And at the natural, you can just have like a bunch of defenses and sit there and destroy them. You don't need to like split defenses at 2 different angles. Since the natural is in the center, you can have like long range units just they will help shoot even when prop is on the other side. For example, you have defenses at the top geyser on the left natural, and then the props coming from the right side can still get shot by the tanks at the top. So your defenses are just gonna overlap, and you're not gonna be like spending a lot of extra resources on defense for defending props from a second angle. Chain of Ascension, well, Chain of Ascension is similar to Lock and Load, except that the props will go to the natural, most likely. The problem is that the props will often get mixed with the escort waves, and that can be a problem, especially if they're like body blocking each other, or like you're trying to kill something and then the escort wave just casts a spell on your stuff or something like that. Could be problematic. The good thing about Chain of Ascension is that you can full clear. You can full clear this map, so the props will stop spawning. Until then, you're gonna fight props for quite a long time. They're pretty much just gonna go to your natural. Yeah, as long as you don't let the escort waves ruin your day, you should be okay. Dead of Night is not a good map for props. on Dead of Night, props are going to keep coming from all angles. Of course, by the time they break through the sides, you're going to have enough defenses, hopefully. And they're just kind of extra because you're going to be attacked nonstop anyways. You probably need something to focus down the props. If there's something like Hardened Will, of course, that's going to be difficult. And that's true for like any of these maps, but more so on Dawn, of course. So not a great map for props. You're going to have to deal with props all the way until the mission is over because they spawn from the structures that you have to destroy. Oblivion Express is another difficult map for props because they can go to your natural, and that means you have another angle to defend unless you defend on the track. And if you defend on the track, then yes, that's good. But you also have to defend the other side. So you have to split your defenses. And while it's not too bad to have split defenses, if you encounter the enemies from the trains and they kill your defenses, you might be lacking when it comes to prop defense. So that becomes a problem. The good thing about OE is that there's high ground. So if you're fighting on high ground, the props have to go all the way around up the ramp before they can actually reach you, which means that you have plenty of time to deal a lot of damage. But having to deal with a third angle because of the natural is a bit problematic. Cradle of Death is another bad map for props. It's bad because the props will come from multiple angles. So from the bottom, yeah, and then from the two sides. And it's really tough to have to defend so many angles. If you are spending too many resources defending props, you will have smaller army for pushing the objective. They also spawn and block your way. So like if you're trying to move a truck and then a prop comes, then your truck has to leave, and that also sucks. Part and Parcel is not so bad. The good thing about this map is that if you clear a lot of the buildings on the left side, they pretty much only come from the right side. And that's the case for most commanders. It's like sometimes they'll come from the left ramp, but the majority of the props will funnel through the right side. So as long as you fortify that side, you should be fine. And since in the in the mid to late game, you're going to be clearing the bottom right area anyways, there will be fewer and fewer props that try to attack you from the bottom. And even if they do, your army should be there. So under normal circumstances, the enemies will not really attack you from the bottom. Vermilion Problem is a bad map for props because multiple angles. And if you try to defend the natural, they will still come from 3 angles. So it could kind of be considered like 2, depending on how you place your defenses. But still, there are 3 ramps that they can come from. And if you don't clear the structures at the top, they can also attack your main base. So that's like a possible 4th angle that you have to deal with if you don't clear the structures, which means clearing is really important. You can full clear on this map. It's very unlikely that you actually do so. And in the late game, when you're trying to get the crystals, they will also walk towards you, blocking your way, so you have to deal with them first. Can be a problem. Mal Warfare. Mal Warfare is similar to Part and Parcel. There's like one area they come from. They will come up the middle and go towards the big bend in the center, towards your base. So as long as you defend the natural at on the right side, you can deal with many props. The problem with this is that sometimes they'll come from the left side. That's problematic. And they will never stop spawning. So they will keep attacking you for the entire game. They will also spawn possibly in your face when you're defending the last area. There's a suppression tower that's never used right next to Arana in the 5th area. And that's always a possible prop spawn, which is horrible. So if a prop spawns there, you're just like gonna lose stuff, or you have to be ready for props to spawn there. And it just really sucks when it actually shows up there. Minor Evacuation is not so bad because you can full clear. And if you are defending against props like at your natural, you're pretty much only gonna have to defend the top, because the props will mostly spawn from the right since there are many buildings there, and they will walk towards the natural from the top. Before they spawn in like 4s, you should clear the bottom bases and the right base so that they only attack from the top. And eventually, after like 20 minutes, you can full clear. Of course, some commanders can do it even faster, but 20 minutes to like after the 3rd ship, full clearing around that time is a good idea. Missed opportunities. It's not exactly a great map for props because the props will continue moving, trickling down from the sides through the fourth area and the fifth area, even towards the end. Of course, you can clear the top, but in a lot of cases, you can't clear the top because of other mutators. So the props will be attacking you from the sides, disrupting you. It's hard to actually have the props funnel to one area. So in a way, they're like constantly going to be messing with you. The tracks make it so that you can't build. So that makes defending against props using structures a little bit more difficult. It's not as bad as the other ones in C, but the props will keep attacking you while you are trying to defend the bots, which, if they come with other mutators, can be problematic. And lastly, we have Temple. Temple, of course, is the easiest map because many commanders can full clear by like 12 minutes. If you can't, well, you should definitely do it. You should note that the props can eat the rocks, and if they do, they will propagate. And so the first prop you fight might actually be two props. That makes speed props really scary, of course, but that's another story. And that's it for this tier list. What are your thoughts on props on various maps? Which ones are easy for you? Comment them down below.